because they both have kind of that bad reputation. They're both kind of misunderstood, if you will. And so TJ, he came into the story kind of for that role to be sort of that mirror for Tad, and also to give Tad the chance in the story to show a different side of himself, because that's something really powerful that animals in a story can do.
We'll talk about this and much more today. Welcome to a Writer's Day podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to a Writer's Day podcast. My name is Ruth Douthit, and I'm so glad you're here because we're going to listen to an amazing author, award-winning author, talk about her latest book. And that's why I started this podcast, so that you can relax and listen to these amazing authors talk about their stories. And so if you like what you hear today, please leave a review or subscribe and follow me so you can learn about more upcoming projects by these incredible authors from Revell and Bethany and Baker and Tyndale and even Kriegel Publishers. And head over to my website to sign up for my newsletter where you can learn more about my book projects coming up, like Book 3 in my Love and Romance in Italy series. So sign up for my newsletter. Okay, let's get to the good stuff now. She is a Christie Award-winning author who lives in rural Montana, where cows still outnumber the people. I love that. That is so great. Katie Powner is here with me today to talk about her contemporary fiction. She always writes stories about redemption and relationships and multi-generational tales. And she's also a mom to the third power. That's right. She has biological, adoptive, and foster kids too. Wow, amazing. So you know the drill. Grab your favorite beverage, a comfortable chair, kick back and relax as we listen to award-winning author Katie Powner talk about her new book. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm super excited to talk with Katie Powner today. Now, she's a new author to me, but very well known to you. So welcome, Katie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Well, why don't you tell my listeners a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk about your new book, When the Road Comes Around.
Sure. Well, I grew up on a dairy farm in Western Washington. So I spent my childhood basically in the barn and in the fields and at the river. It was a great childhood. And then after I graduated, I ended up moving to Montana to go to a Bible college out here. And I didn't know anyone out here. I had never been here, but I had found this school, and I just thought, that's what I want to do. So I packed up and I moved out here, and I've been here ever since. So for over 20 years now.
20 years. Wow.
Yeah, and Montana so it's my home now. And so now I've been here now more than anywhere else in my life. And so we live in a small town, about 2,500 people. It's pretty rural. We have, chickens. We live on a dirt road, but we're in town. But it's a small town, and we really love the area. We love Montana. I've got 3 kids that are permanent, and then we foster. So then sometimes we have temporaries here. And we have our chickens, and we have a bunny, and we have 1 cat, and his name is Bartholomew. And then the bunny's name is Licorice, and he has a gray beard because he's really old. And so we love the small town life. I started writing books about 10 years ago. But I've always been a writer, but that was when I started writing like a novel length type of a thing, which is totally different from a lot of other types of writing. And then my first book came out in 2020, which is not a great time to have a book come out. It was in 2020 in the middle of when the pandemic was just starting. And everything was going crazy. And that's when my debut novel came out, which was not great. Everything was shut down. The bookstores were closed. It was a bummer kind of timing, but everything then that kind of moved online during that time. And so I ended up doing a lot of stuff online, and it worked out. And I now am having my 5th book come out next month in August 5th. So
oh,
that
wow.
brings us up to now.
Yeah, congratulations. That's a unique story. So had you ever lived in a big city before?
No, I have not.
It's just always little towns, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That is so neat. I've am born and raised in Phoenix, which is a pretty big city now.
Pretty big.
And
Yeah.
yeah, when we first got married, we moved to the east coast of North Carolina and lived in a tiny little town called Havelock, and it's literally a one road town. That's
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
outside the military base. So that was a culture shock for us, going from a
Yeah.
big
A big
city
change.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, a little tiny town, but it was cute. I liked it. I liked the festivals. You guys have those, like the
Yes, we
festivals in the
have
fall and
coming up, we have the Potato Festival, which is our big thing because we have a lot of potato farmers here. So there's a big potato festival coming up, and that's our claim to fame. Yeah.
that's so cute. I love that. Yeah, they had a chili festival with a parade. The 4th of July, of course, is huge, a big deal.
Hmm.
Do
Hmm.
you all have those too? Small town parade.
Yeah.
That's oh,
Yes. Yep. And there's a parade for the Potato Festival, and we have a good like a farmers market all summer, and we have a really big Christmas stroll. Do you guys have Christmas strolls?
no, we didn't have that. No. Mm-mm.
So that's basically when in December, they pick a night and all of the businesses stay open late and have like hot cocoa or different things, and you stroll through town to all the different
Mm.
stores and stuff, and you go in and there's carolers, and so that's a really big deal here.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I
It's a
love that.
very it's a very Hallmark movie-ish.
Yeah, I was gonna say straight out of a Hallmark movie.
It is.
Well, so when did you realize you wanted to be a writer? I mean, has it always been something you did when you were little or?
Yes, yes. I mean, that's all I've ever wanted to do or thought of doing. When I was growing up, it was never like, I want to be a ballerina or a doctor or whatever. It's pretty much always that I was going to be a writer. And so I've always wanted to do that. Um, I guess as a child, I probably didn't know what that would look like necessarily, but that was always my dream. Yeah.
I love that. Did you have a teacher who kind of inspired you or?
That's a good question. I think I had several. I mean, I feel like looking back that I had quite a few teachers who over the years, were super encouraging, and who would be like, oh, this is really good. And my mom and my grandma were also super encouraging. And my grandma especially she was super into books, super into reading. She spent a lot of time volunteering at the local elementary school, doing a reading program. She would volunteer to help the kids who were behind in reading. She would work with them in the halls, help them because reading was a huge deal to her. And so books were a huge deal to her. And so I think a lot of it came from that. She was always getting me books. And she passed away before my first book ever came out, which was a bummer
Oh,
because I know it would have just been the thrill of her life to see me have a book published because that just books were like just her favorite thing. So,
yeah, I find that so many of the authors I speak with were inspired by teachers, one or two or many,
mhm.
and that kept them
Yeah,
on. Now,
yeah,
growing
for
up on a
sure.
dairy farm, though, wow, and the country life as a child, didn't that mean, getting up super early in the morning doing your chores and then, running
Yeah,
around?
well, I mean, we spent a lot of time running around for sure. I spent so many days. Yeah, just we had 250 acres, and we would just go. And I have a sister and two brothers, so there's four of us. I mean, and we really would just go out. We would be climbing trees. We would be
Mm.
making forts. We would be, I don't know if, so we would make hay slides. I don't know if you know what that is, but we would do hay slides. We would feed the calves, like bottle feed them, that kind of thing.
Aw.
And it was really, it was really a great childhood. Like I miss the farm actually. I wish I could go back there.
Sounds incredible. Very idyllic, for a city
Yeah.
folk like me. We can only see that in the movies. So
Hmm. Yeah.
I love that though. I just think that would be such an incredible childhood. But you mentioned that your foster parents.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
incredible. When were you inspired to do that?
Well, I think so. We've been married almost 22 years. And I think from the very beginning, we both knew that at some point we would have kids in our home who weren't biologically ours. Um, I think we both wanted that and both just knew that was what we were going to do. And so I think that's something that God put on our hearts for like a long time.
Mm.
And so after we had two biological kids, sons, and then we adopted our daughter. And then after she had been adopted, after she had been with us about a year or two, we that's when we really started getting excited about the idea of fostering. Because at that point, because foster care is about the family and about reunification, it's not about adoption. And
Mhm.
so after we had had our kids in and done our adoption, we felt like we finally kind of were in a place where we could really support that idea of supporting the families, not just being like, well, we want more kids,
Mhm.
because if you're going into foster care for that reason, then you're going in with it, thinking it about it all wrong. And
Mhm.
so we felt at that point that we were ready to be able to stand in the gap without thinking like, oh, we want to adopt or whatever. We wanted to have that attitude of like, we want to help, we want to support, we want to have that goal of reunification, not, we want more kids. And so that was about 9 years ago that we got licensed then. And so since then we take babies only at this point, so under 2 years
Mhm.
old. And we've had about a dozen, some for like one weekend, some for like 2 years. Just depends. The longest we've had is one, for 2 years. Um, and we have a baby right now. He's 18 months. He's been with us since he was 2.5 months. And
Oh.
so it's been a really interesting journey for sure. And we've learned
Mhm.
a lot from it. And I started writing the novels and doing the foster care right around the same time. And those two things then have really gone hand in hand in my life, and they kind of rely on each other, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because I couldn't do the foster care, I think, if I didn't have that outlet of writing. And I couldn't do the writing if I didn't have the foster care to give me perspective of like, oh, writing at the end of the day is not important. These
Mhm.
kids and their needs and what they're going through is important. And so it gives me that perspective, for like if you get a rejection for your book, like for example, 50 times, because that happens. At the end of the day, you're like, you know what? Who cares? Because that's not what's really important. And so the two things have gone hand in hand for me. And I think God really, did that in a purposeful way to help me be able to handle the two things because I don't think I could do them separately, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's a powerful story. And I completely see what you're talking about. You're right. I mean, I got rejected just last week and was, woe is
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
whining and crying, right?
Yep.
And then I
Yep.
talked with my neighbor, and she just put her husband into a home for Alzheimer's.
Oh, yeah,
And for the first
exactly.
time, yeah, right. And
And
I was
you
like,
and you walked away thinking, "Oh, I
I
guess
know I've got no problems.
I
I
have,
have
yeah, I
no
guess I can't really,
problems.
yeah." And that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so you're right. God has a way of letting you whine and cry, and then he'll show you something and just
Hmm.
snaps you out of it. And you're like, you're right, Lord, you're right.
Yep, perspective.
Oh, that's beautiful, though. And I do believe that foster parents are chosen, special people by the Lord. So thank you for what you're doing. It's a powerful ministry. So thank you for that. I know it's full of a lot of sacrifices, too. There's no romanticizing it at all.
Right.
I have
No,
so
that's
many
very true.
friends. Yeah, I have friends who do teenagers. That's their calling.
Mm-hmm.
And so God bless you all for doing that. That's powerful. But now, your first book came out in 2020, but something pretty incredible happened though in 2020. Remember, everybody was in shutdown, so they picked up their Kindles and started
Right.
buying a lot of
That
books.
is true.
So,
Yeah, that is true. There
so
was
you're
a lot
right.
of
I
book.
mean, yeah, we couldn't go out to bookstores and promote, but folks were reading like crazy.
Yeah, no, that is very true.
So I think that's great that your book came out at that time. But I know it was probably frustrating too not to be able to go to events and things. So.
Well, it's just a little scary, like to not, like you couldn't go do the book signings, like just what you kind of picture what it would be like, like when you dream about it. And
Mhm.
then to not be able to do that, it was a bummer. But yeah, in the end, it worked out just fine.
Resilience, right? It's all about
Yeah.
resilience. The Lord making us stronger.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your book, When the Road Comes Around. contemporary small town fiction set on a Montana ranch. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us about this incredible story.
Right. So it's set in on Come Around Ranch, which is a fictional ranch that I placed in Southwest Montana. And where I live is also in Southwest Montana. And it's about Tad, who is a 24-year-old guy, and he's kind of a troublemaker. He has a bad reputation around town, um, having trouble keeping a job, but he's given a job at Come Around Ranch for the summer. Is Dan and Anita, who own Come Around Ranch. They are believers and they want to give him kind of a second chance. They think maybe if they give him the opportunity to shine, they're hoping that he'll take it and then he'll shine. So he doesn't want to blow this opportunity, but of course,
Mhm.
lots of things happen to make it as hard for him as possible. And so in the end, there's a lot of just growth that has to happen, and without giving anything away, everybody's lives then that summer are turned upside down.
Okay. So you have a young 24-year-old Tad, but then 48-year-old Anita. Tell us about
Mhm.
her.
Well, she's got rheumatoid arthritis, which is why they needed to hire Tad for the summer. So on their ranch, um, because she's not as able to do as much work because of her condition, they need that summer help. And so she was the one who, convinced Dan to hire Tad. And she then has a son named Sam, and Sam is developmentally delayed. And so she has been, and he's 21, so she has spent, 20 some years being his caretaker. And so another thing that when Tad comes and shows up at the ranch and he starts working there, that her relationship with her son is also disrupted. Everything gets disrupted. And so she has a lot of lessons to learn too about letting go and finding a new role in her motherhood, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm, I see. Yeah. So there's quite a bit going on. We have Tad, who's
Mm-hmm.
struggling, right? And has a reputation for getting into trouble. And then Sam, the ranch owner's disabled son. But then there's TJ, the rescue horse,
Mm-hmm.
right, with this bad reputation too. Tell us about why you wrote in TJ, this rescue horse with some problems.
Well, so at the ranch they have some horses because it's a guest ranch, but so they do trail rides with the guests and stuff. So the horses are for the trail rides, and the horses are mainly rescue horses because Anita, she's got a soft spot for
Mm,
horses that nobody else wanted. And so Tad and TJ kind of form a bond because they both have kind of that bad reputation. They're both kind of misunderstood, if you will. And so TJ, he came into the story kind of for that role to be sort of that mirror for Tad, and also to give Tad the chance in the story to show a different side of himself because that's something really powerful that animals in a story can do. So I pretty much always have animals in my stories for that reason
mhm.
because they allow characters to show like another side of themselves. You get to see them in a different way, how they interact with animals. So I really love how animals can reveal a character. So that's part of the reason
That
TJ came
makes
along.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. It's true. We, as authors, we try and use animals or like Sam, the
Hmm.
disabled son, to
Hmm.
bring out character traits in our characters. So that's
Hmm.
wonderful. So what inspired you? What inspired this story?
Well, it actually goes back to foster care.
Mm.
Again, like I said, those things have been so intertwined in my life. When we had a couple years ago, we had a baby come to us who he had been taken from his mother and given to his dad to raise. But after a short time, a paternity test revealed he was not actually the dad. And
Oh.
so they took him from him and brought the baby to me. And they kind of just mentioned that in passing, but it really impacted me. I just thought that poor man, I thought, what would that have been like to have this child that you think this is, you step up, you say, okay, yes, I'll take the baby. Here's my son. And then to find out he's not and have him taken away. I couldn't stop thinking about that and thinking about what that must have been like for him. And that's actually then where the character of Tad came from originally and where the seeds of the story were first sown. Um, I guess I almost in a way, because I couldn't really stop thinking about that, that's was one way for me to process that. Because I couldn't talk to this guy. I didn't know him or anything. And so I kind of wanted to give him a story and give him an ending, if that makes sense. I keep
Yeah,
saying
that's
that.
beautiful. Yeah, that is. That's beautiful. Yeah, I can't even begin to imagine what that was like for him. Whew. Well, so wonderful. So it's set in Montana. So there you go. You knew exactly how to write that. But had you ever been on a horse ranch before or one of those guest ranches before?
Well, I have, yeah, some friends of ours, they have a ranch called Breakaway Youth Ranch, and they rescue horses, and then they do a program where at-risk kids come and learn to take care of the horses, learn to ride the horses. And so they kind of match up horses with kids, and it's a healing thing for both the horse and the
Hmm.
child. And they have a bunch of programs, and it's a great program. And when they were first getting started, I was helping out there a lot, helping get the horses ready and stuff. And so that was very inspiring. Definitely was kind of had them in my mind.
Mm, yeah. Had you ever worked with horses before? I know you all had dairy cows and chickens and all, but horses too, or?
No, not really horses. Because yeah, we had just the cows. We had a couple ponies at one point, briefly while I was a kid, but mostly I hadn't really spent a lot of time around horses. But these were good friends of ours. And so I basically learned along just along some other people how to like train the horses and stuff. And I was just doing it like to get the horses ready so that they could open their ranch up to kids.
Mhm.
So that was sort of my first real experience with horses, actually.
And I love how your story is a multi-generational story. I love those when you have older folks working with younger folks and the reader, if they're the older age, they get it. They understand that character.
Yeah.
But if they're the younger age, it kind of makes them think maybe I should start noticing the older folks around me a little bit more. What was your inspiration behind that by making this a multi-generational story?
Well, all of my books so far have been intergenerational, have had a wide range of ages and characters. And I think a big part of that is just because I think we have so much to learn from each other. And I spent a lot of time growing when I was growing up with older people, um, and felt like that was just super valuable. And now, a lot of times, kids, say teenagers, or something, they just aren't exposed to older generations. They kind of have their own bubble, but so they're missing out on like learning how to interact with people who are different ages, people who have, or in different stages of life. And so to me, that just makes for such a rich story when you can have then all those different experiences, different perspectives, and then you kind of bring them together and they have to learn from each other. And so I think, yeah, all of my books typically have some aspect.
Oh, I think that's great. I really do. Well, Katie, is your book out in the world right now, or when does it release?
It officially releases on August 5th. So
All
we're
right.
just about there. Yeah. 2 more
Great. And
weeks.
so, yeah, so listeners, it's available for pre-order. So head over to Amazon to pre-order it. Or is there a special book deal going on at Bethany?
Yeah, at Baker Bookhouse, if you pre-order from Baker Bookhouse, you get 40% off plus some extra goodies. There's some stickers and bookmark things that you can get that come with it if you pre-order from Baker Bookhouse.
Oh, I love that. I love it when they do those special
I
deals like
know, I know.
that.
And it's free shipping too.
Yeah, that's right. Free shipping.
It's amazing.
And can readers connect with you at your website, sign up for your newsletter?
Yes, so at katiepowner.com. Everything is there. The newsletter sign up, all of the links to all the socials, links to all of the book info, links to my blog, all of the book club resources, all of it's at katiepowner.com.
Oh, great. So that's katiepowner.com. Head over there and find out more about her upcoming projects, like what's coming next for you.
Well, my next book is called Birds on a Wire, and it's with a different publisher. It's a foster care story, actually. So it's about a foster mom and a bio mom who form a tenuous friendship over the baby that they both love, that they both wonder who's the best mother for this baby. And obviously it does come from some personal experience. It's fictional, but definitely did, lean on my personal experience when I was writing it, and that comes out next spring.
Ooh, wow. That sounds like a fascinating story. Ooh,
Yeah,
very
I'm really
unique.
excited about it.
Yeah, I like your story. Your plots are very unique.
Thank
I haven't
you.
seen any stories like this before, so I love that. I think it's great to offer something brand new, and definitely you've tapped into something very unique. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Well, Katie, it's been an honor meeting you and chatting with you, and thank you for joining me. I look forward to our next chat.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a unique story from Katie Powner about this story that has a troubled 24-year-old, and 48-year-old who's struggling, and then a rescue horse in there too. All set in a small town in Montana. Oh, it sounds amazing. I look forward to getting this copy. And so remember, it released August 5th this week. So head over to Amazon and order your copy now. And leave a review once you've read it too, because reviews really help authors. So let Katie know what you thought of her amazing story. And I look forward to her next one. So thank you for joining me today and listening. I hope that you've been inspired by Katie's story and how she suffered so many rejections. Been there, done that. And yet she kept going. So that's why I always tell you, don't give up. Keep going. And I'm telling myself this too. But we have to keep going if we feel that it is our calling. So hang in there, learn the craft, and be inspired by Katie's story. And until next time, God bless.